Hello zusammen. Normally on our channel, I almost never talk about my private life. I almost never talk about the things that go on inside my apartment or at work or in my hobby of flying. The only times I ever do discuss something like that is when it's directly pertinent to what we're doing. I think I've had one of those moments recently. In fact, I know that I have. And so this unplanned video, this was not in our lineup, became necessary. As some of you know, in my private life, for a hobby, I'm learning to fly. Specifically, I'm learning to fly gliders, which is an experience unlike anything that I could possibly describe. You'll just have to go out and do it yourself once, and you'll understand exactly what I mean. But I want to tell you about a specific incident that happened, two incidents that happened very recently as 2 days ago. Starting about 3 weeks ago, I took a week of vacation because the club that I fly with went as a group to a small airfield in Bavaria, where we flew as a group every single day for that entire week. I think altogether I was there like 8 days, 9 days, something like that. I had to go back to work and some of them stayed longer for a second week, but I was there for a full week plus a little bit. During that week, I made, probably 20 flights with with two different instructors that I fly with fairly often. They were very pleased with my progress and told me that they thought I was about ready to solo. But in order for me to solo, I have to have another independent pilot who doesn't know me get in the plane with me, watch me fly, and then he gives the yay or nay as to whether I can go ahead and solo. So I did this. I worked with these guys, and on Friday, the last day I was going to be flying, this third instructor shows up. Now, he hadn't been there the whole week, so he didn't know what patterns we were flying at the airfield. He didn't know the wind condition. He didn't know really anything that was going on. So this guy shows up. First time I've met him. He gets in the plane. He sits in the back. I'm sitting in the front, and we take off, and I'm just going to say it didn't go well. There was an incident in the air that I don't really care to describe, because it'll just take too long and it's not really the point. But he and I ended up arguing fairly badly in the aircraft. We were not getting along. I brought the aircraft in, I landed, and when we got out of the aircraft, there was a great deal of tension still between us. And he informed me that he was not going to sign off on me soloing, and I was very angry. So after our flights, we always take our flight books, and then we have to go fill in what we had done that day. And that day, I think altogether, including the flight with this guy, I think I flew 7 times that day. So I went across the street where there was a water park and I bought myself a tequila sunrise. I think I earned it. And I sat there and I filled out my flight book. I was angry. I really was angry. I really didn't appreciate what this guy had done, and I felt like he had snatched something from me. But while I was sitting there drinking my tequila sunrise and filling out my flight book, I realized that my problem was not this man. My problem was not the incident we had in the air. My problem was my ego. I didn't like the fact that he told me I wasn't ready when I thought I was. But who's better qualified to tell me I'm ready? Me, a new pilot, a student pilot, or the guy who's been flying 20 years? My ego was in the way. If this guy wanted to hold me to a higher standard than my other instructors had, well, hell, that just makes me a better pilot. He's doing me a favor. So, probably 2 hours later, just as the sun was beginning to set, I carried myself back across the street to the airfield. I went and found where he was and asked if I could speak to him for a moment. I did tell him directly that I didn't appreciate the way he had spoken to me in the plane, and I really didn't appreciate the incident we had. Nonetheless, I was the one wrong. And everyone in the club knows that he is by far the most stringent instructor. He wants it done right and no other way. And I explained to him, you're only making me a better pilot. And as much as I don't care for your personality, Every single time you're on the roster as a teacher, I'm going to be in that plane with you. Every single time. Because if I can satisfy him, I know I can satisfy my other instructors. I went home, went to work. 3 weeks later, I had my chance. This was 2 days ago on Sunday. He was the flight instructor for the day, and I was his first student. Now, before I got on the plane with him, I spoke to him again. I apologized about the attitude that I had had previously. I accepted that he was right, and if he says I'm not ready, I'm not ready. But I was there on Sunday to show him that I'm ready. He invited me to get in the plane. I always sit in the front. The instructor always sits in the back. I take off. I run the pattern that he asked me to fly, and I did it effectively by the textbook. When I came in for a landing, he pulled me aside and he told me, das war sehr gut, das war gut gemacht. Gut gemacht. Nicht perfekt, aber gut gemacht. Well, that was a step in the right direction. That he would tell me I had done well, from him, compliment. But he told me that he wanted a couple things done a little tighter, a little different, and he told me how he wanted them done. So we got back in the plane, went up a second time, and I flew the pattern exactly like he asked me to do it. Not only did I fly it the way he asked me to do it, I told him out loud as I was doing it that I was doing it and why I was doing it, meaning the reasons behind those particular procedures. Came in for a landing, and that's when he told me, sehr gut gemacht. He told me I had done very well. Well, hell, that was high praise. I'd gotten a little better. And he said, as good as that was, let's tighten up just a little further on A, B, and C. So we went up a third time, and I nailed A, B, and C exactly the way he wanted them. Came back for a landing, and he told me, second time, but third good flight, sehr gut gemacht. I was pleased. I was satisfied. I felt like I had accomplished exactly what I had set out to do. Not necessarily to prove him wrong, but to prove me right. To show that, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. So in between, I think there were 4 more students that each did 3 flights. So by the time the sun began to set on Sunday, it was late. It was about 6 p.m. And I was getting ready to pack the plane in and put it back in the hangar when he told me, no. Get back in the plane. I want you to prove to me that this morning was not a fluke. Prove to me that you can get it right consistently. To be honest, I was caught off guard and I was a little scared. I was cold at that point. I wasn't mentally ready to fly, but I didn't have a chance to, I don't want to say I didn't have a chance to get ready, but I put myself in the frame of mind of, okay, if this is what we need to do, by God, this is what we're going to do. We boarded the aircraft. He told me that he wanted me to fly a particular pattern, this time in a different direction, but he told me that he was going to keep his mouth shut. The only thing he asked me prior to takeoff was what a particular emergency procedure was if we had to abort the takeoff. I explained to him with no hesitation exactly what procedure had to be done and told him that if he wished to surprise me with it during the flight, do his best. I'm ready. I departed. I took off, banked to the right, flew my pattern over a small valley west of the town I live in. I ran into a little bit of trouble because I had a thermal that, brought warm air underneath my aircraft and raised it higher than I expected to be flying in for the landing. So I explained to him, even though he wasn't talking to me, that I was making a particular decision to extend my downwind, to take myself a little further from the airport, to allow my aircraft to sink a little further, to allow me to pick up a little speed because he wants it at a particular speed for landing. Then I brought the aircraft in and touched it down. Once we landed on the ground, once we were both out of the aircraft and had pulled our parachutes off, he extended his hand to me and shook it and told me, perfect. No other instructor could have complimented me like that because I knew I had done it. This man wasn't just stroking my ego because he didn't give a damn about my ego. I did it. And here's the point I'm trying to make with that lengthy story. There are times in our lives, in prison, at work, at home, whatever, when you're going to be faced with circumstances you don't like. You're going to be dealing with people you don't like. Tough shit. You have to put your shoulders back, stand on your own 2 feet, look your challenge directly in the eye, and handle it. That's just how reality works. That's how adulthood works. And that's what it means to take personal responsibility for your life, which is what I encourage everyone to do. That's the road to the kind of life you're looking for. Taking personal responsibility, not hiding from things, not cowering away when things don't go the way you want them to do. All my life, I'm not joking, all my life, I dreamt about flying an airplane. All my life. And for the 22 years I was in prison, every night before I went to sleep, I was daydreaming about it. On Sunday, I flew that plane. Not daydreaming, not wishful thinking, not fantasizing. I was in complete control of my aircraft, and for the first time in my life, I can tell you, I did it. And I could have floated off that airfield. I felt so good. I love a good challenge. I love a good challenge. So that was my story about flying. I hope it means something for you. It absolutely meant something for me. Until next time, my friends, be safe, be smart, and face your challenges directly. Auf Wiedersehen. Bis nächstes Mal. Tschüss. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you like what we do and you want to support what we do and maybe help pay off some of these legal bills, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You'll find the link in the description below.